family, we love board games. We have a whole closet in our house stacked with board games. We play them a lot. I bet you guys play with board games too with your family. One of my favorite board games to play when I was your age is, you guessed it, Chutes and Ladders. Now, I don't really call it a chute. It's like a slide. But the point of the game is you spin, you start down here, but you can climb your way all the way up. But then, if you land on a slide, woo, you get to start over. It's not fun, but it's fun when your family gets to do it. So, I was thinking about chutes and ladders. You go up, you go down. You go up, you go down. That happens a lot in life, right? And then it got me thinking about my favorite Bible story with Joseph. Do you guys know about Joseph? He has a lot of ups and downs in his life, but he remains faithful to God through the whole thing. We can find Joseph in our Bibles in Genesis 37, and there's so much about Joseph that it actually goes for 13 more chapters. So I can't cover everything, but maybe you can read it at home with your family, okay? We start out with Joseph. He's the son of a guy named Jacob, who has a lot of sons. But Joseph was his favorite. Joseph even got a fancy coat full of many colors, the Bible tells us. And so if you have a fancy coat and you're your dad's favorite, and then you have the ability to interpret dreams, if you can imagine, his brothers were really jealous. In fact, Joseph had dreams that he would become better than his brothers, that he would be singled out and prosper, and that maybe they wouldn't. That made them really mad, as you can imagine. And they, in fact, plotted to kill Joseph. Now, I know your brothers can annoy you sometimes, but this is crossing the line. They plotted to get rid of him. And thankfully, one of the brothers, Reuben, said, we can't kill him. But instead, they sold him to slavery. It was terrible. Think about how Joseph would feel, all alone. Well, he got sold to a man named Potiphar. And Potiphar was the Pharaoh's, captain. And slowly, Joseph became not so much a prisoner, but almost more of Potiphar's right-hand guy. Now that seems pretty good. He's on the up. Life isn't so bad. Things turned out. And then Potiphar's wife. Have you ever had someone who maybe told a lie about you, and it wasn't true, and it wasn't fair, but you got in trouble? That happened to Joseph. Potiphar's wife told a big fat lie, and then Potiphar believed her. So then, not only did Joseph lose his job, he went to prison. So it's pretty bad. But Joseph kept his faith in God, and he still interpreted dreams. There were some other prisoners in the prison with him, and he interpreted their dreams, and it all happened. What he said was going to happen, happened. Well, eventually, Pharaoh heard about it. And Pharaoh approached Joseph one time and said, hey, I've been having these crazy dreams. I heard that maybe you and your crazy God, maybe you can tell me what they mean. Well, Joseph interpreted Pharaoh's dreams. And basically what it meant was that there were going to be 7 years of awesome crops, lots of food. They were just going to have an awesome time in Egypt. Their animals were going to be fat. Everyone was going to be happy. But after that 7 years, then there was going to be 7 years of famine. Do you guys know what famine is? Famine is when you don't have any food, maybe you run out of water, the animals die, everyone's kind of scared. Well, Joseph told Pharaoh, hey, you know what? If there's 7 years of all this fruitful stuff, why don't you save it? That way, when there's a famine, you have food for everyone. And Pharaoh was like, this Joseph guy is pretty smart. I'm going to make him my right-hand man. Woo! So Pharaoh, who's like the king of Egypt, and Egypt is super powerful, makes Joseph, who used to be a prisoner, he becomes the king's right-hand man. That is so cool. And eventually, everything that Joseph said was going to happen happens. And there was food and they stored it. And when the famine came, people would come to Egypt to get their food to survive. And so because Joseph was faithful to God, he actually helped save Egypt and helped provide food for people. And let's not forget about his brothers. His brothers needed food. And eventually they made their way up to Egypt. And you know what? If I was Joseph and my brothers who sold me and told my dad I was dead, I probably would have been like, no, you don't get any food. But Joseph's a good guy. And he actually forgave his brothers. And he gave them food. And you know what? That's an awesome, awesome story. I just love it. There's so much more that I didn't mention. You have to read it. But throughout it all, I like to remember that life is full of ups and downs. But we just have to remember that God is with us through it all. Man, I really hope you guys can remember that. And when you play this game at home, just remember, God is with you always. And you just need to be faithful to him.